or unstable. We come in unstable. Be esteemed. John chapter 5:39. Search the scriptures. In them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Praise be to Yahuah, in the name of Yahushua. What's shalom, Brother Reynolds? And we in here. Psalms 93. Yahuah reign. Yahuah is clothed with majesty. Yahuah is clothed with strength. Wherewith he have girded himself. The world also was established that it cannot be moved. Your throne is established of old. You are from everlasting. The floods have lifted up, O Yahuah. The floods have lifted up their voice. The floods lifted up their way. It's a very sure, and Kadash become your house. And again, we refresh ourselves with this regard of Kadash becomes his house. I know we ended talking about not being anxious, and that also Wednesday, understanding that anxiousness is nothing but getting caught up with the cares and affairs of this life. And of course, you know, Yahushua has already told you that when you get caught up with the cares and affairs of this life, that seed sowed amongst the thorns. Let's just look at it. Matthew chapter 13, that explicit look at when we talk about this particular Matthew 13 and 22. After that, Hosea chapter 10. Is he that hear the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word. See, it's not just the deceitfulness of riches. It says and. That means these are two different things. There's two different things that choke off the word. The deceitfulness of riches, because he's already told you in Proverbs 23 and 4. And it says, labor not to be rich, cease from your own wisdom. See, that's why he tell you that the deceitfulness of riches, because he end up deceiving you. We also know this according to what Paul wrote in 1 Timothy chapter 6. He tells you that the love of money is the root of all evil. And he's saying, though many follow that and diverse lusts, if you will. But continuing on, right? He's so stinking whore. Do I need to slide this off? Is that what I need to do? 23 and 5 Proverbs. He said, will you set your eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle towards heaven. Come over here to Proverbs 27 and 24, if you would.
Where you going?
He said, for riches are not forever, and do their crown endure to every generation. Now, see, this is still apropos on what we're talking about. Of course, when it's talking about riches, the word is koshan, and of course, you know that's riches, that's treasure, and that is existence. It is not indefinite, it is not eternity, it is not perpetual. But then he asks, and this is a high priest, this is a question being asked. This is somebody who has been set apart for a particular reason. The word endure is not there. It says is the. So when you see that, it says, and do the crown to every generation. Is there a consecration of Nazarite-ship to every door, or is of everlasting and endures forever? But look at the key component of what it's trying to separate and let you know. that riches don't last forever, but the crown is to every generation. And again, crown as sign of creation. Also, stones of a crown, didium, things of that nature. But the main part is something that has been consecrated or set apart. I want you to keep that in mind, especially talking about what we're dealing with in Psalms 93. But let's look at cares of the world in this Matthew 13 and 22. When we look at care, the word is merimna in the Greek, and again, it is simply anxiety. Care, anxiety, or a distraction. So when you're looking at what you're told in 1 Peter chapter 5, take a look at what you're told in 1 Peter chapter 5. First Peter chapter 5. You can pick it up at verse 5. We'll go from there. 1 Peter 5 and 5. Likewise, you younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. All of you be subject one. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Elohim, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your care upon him, for he cared for you. And all of that does is taking us right back to who we're talking about, which is Saul and David. Would any of you say that day he did, how did he do it? And if he didn't, how did he not do it? You
something wait on Samuel to make the sacrifice. And for this war, took it anyway.
Took it anyway.
Kill these people, but I didn't kill these people.
I didn't kill these people. Would any of y'all say that Saul cast his care upon Yahuah and humbled himself under his mighty hand? If he did, how did he do it? If he didn't, how did he not do it? Yeah, I know it. That's why I asked it again. It said, did Saul cast his care upon Elohim? And if he did, how did he not do it? Maybe it's because both these phones are. I said maybe it's because. Yeah, that's accurate. I guess it's just one of the base. You say Saul lied. He could have been honest. What did he lie about? Did David humble himself under the mighty hand of Elohim? And if he did, how did he do it? And if he didn't, how did he not do it? Did he cast his care upon him? Now, remember, I want you to go all the way down the line. I want you to deal just in the range of what we're looking at. And that's starting from about what? 1 Samuel 13. And we ran up to about, even though we hadn't read 20 and 21, up to about 24, chapter 24. Because we still in 1 Samuel 18. You say 1 Samuel 13, show he ain't trust him. I wouldn't. That's what David referenced over here. I'm always gonna got that would the man, that would the Allstate man calls it. I don't know how he even got that out of that. Who named you then? Your mama did. Oh, if Saul and David had humbled themselves under the mighty hand of Elohim, how did they do it? And if they didn't do it, how did they not do it? And did they cast their care upon him? And if they did, how did they do it? And if they didn't, how did they not do it? That man said, and what's the other name? Daedra? I said, this man here, wow. It's a lot of names that I can see to be mispronounced, and that ain't one of them. No matter how it's spelled, with an A, with an E. You know what I'm saying? I thought pretty much anybody could figure that one out. Guess not. But yeah, nobody pronounces my name how you try to mock me. No one. No one. Now you're telling stories, Aesop fables, if you would.
That's not mocking. Mocking is, mocking means you're smart, man.
Yeah, I do. And that's what that is mocking me.
No, that's just pronouncing. That's me announcing your name.
You enunciating.
Or pronouncing your name.
That's not how my name is enunciated or pronounced, ma'am.
In your world.
And and the world of all known mankind. See, there we go. There's Daedra.
What is it? Dwayne.
Yes.
No, it's not. Your name ain't Dwayne.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That is the beauty of the English language. Yeah.
Okay, I'll start saying your name like that. Get away.
Yeah. So clearly the FAMU School of Journalism did not teach you proper syntax.
Dwayne.
This nigga hit a spin. Yeah, I don't want to talk to you right now. You were rude earlier, and I didn't like it. I have no jokes for you. I wasn't talking to you.
Oh.
1 Samuel 18. I can dig it. That's definitely what we were in 24. Did we finish out of 24? I think we finished 24. No, we ain't finished 24. Come back around here to 24. But I want y'all to remember that, right? And that Matthew 13:22, look at what he said. Anxiety. And I'm not upset it's anxiety. This came to mind because I seen this on my way over here. That Osaka chick, well, I told you that hoe was trash. I told y'all that hoe was trash now. That hoe came out and said why she don't want to talk to the media. She says she doesn't want to deal with the criticism. But she wants to deal with the adulation. You want to put on your BLM mask and all this here, but when somebody has a critique of your game, now all of a sudden you need a mental health break. Well, I told you these doggone women who they be rolling out here can't deal with depression. Every man know if you put yourself in the public arena, you put yourself out there to be scrutinized. You know what biggest people and Marcellus Wiley told the real truth. They say, hey, yeah, it's what you give your attention to. As a man, if you're going, see, I've told you this before. Whether you're dealing with, and you see, they're on a larger scale because they're dealing with entertainment. Because at the end of the day, she's not an athlete, she's an entertainer. Regardless of what you want to think, how you want to play it, they're not athletes, they're entertainers. So all sports is classified under the umbrella of entertainment. You know what I'm saying? You can look this up yourself. It's entertainment.
Yeah, start from gladiators.
Straight up and down. I'm talking about like literal. Yeah, they talk all that talk with you, but it's entertainment. At the end of the day, that's what it is. So she's an entertainer. But like what he told her, from her words, she identifies herself as a tennis player and not a person who plays tennis. So you already got a problem. Your mental state is built around the fact that you play tennis. So when somebody criticizes your game in tennis, you take it personally, and now you're mentally broken. All this again shows, shalom, man, and no disrespect to no ladies, that's a lady outside of her element. I just seen a whole bunch of women when they were looking at that thing about the Asian chick talking about how her parents prepared her for marriage. They was like, why do men have to make women believe that their sole purpose was to be a wife and a mother? See, I'm telling you this for this one reason. Those are not women you can reason with. Avoid them. Don't be listening to none of these brews who tell you to try to convert these type of women, rationalize with those type of women. You have to leave those type of women alone. I'm telling this for the young men. Don't let these women shame you the same way that your family members try to shame you to come back in the world. Remember, he tell you that in 1 Peter 4, that they speak evil of you because you don't run in the same manner of evil. Don't let people shame you. Ladies, don't let your whole friends shame you because they hate their husbands and you love yours. That's the bitter hoe crew. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. You know what I'm talking about? You got friends that you used to walk around half naked with, shalom, man, and do stuff with. You know what I'm talking about? And now they wondering why you covering yourself up, and you got to ask your husband, don't deal with them people. Because you can't rationalize with somebody like that. You have to let them people to their own devices. See, men know this. Men know if I make a change in my life and my homeboy want to smoke weed, sell drugs, tote weapons, most men already know I can't bring that round, bro, because bro not on that. Most men know they're going to respect that boundary because a man going to cut you off. He ain't going to deal with you. Because ain't no usually if you're dealing with a man and he's firm in his convictions, men know ain't no rationalizing to convince him to do nothing. Men only do that with men who they know are weak-minded that can be easily persuaded. Men don't do that with men. Every man on here can tell you if they had homeboys they used to do stuff with and they told them, hey, boy, I ain't on that no more, boy. Them boys respect that off the top. They don't ask them no questions. Why you want to do this and why you got to do that? Oh, now you want to go home to your wife and your kids. See, men don't do that. Men don't try to shame their homeboys and that. They might crack jokes talking about how you whoop this, that, there, and the third. But at the end of the day, men don't do that. Especially once you reach a certain age, dudes already know you ain't supposed to be out here doing ABC 1, 2, 3. You know what I'm saying? You ain't supposed to be doing that. I mess you can't listen to the bitter hoes. See, the bitter hoes that have you out here walking on the pavement bare toes. You ain't got nowhere to stay. You ain't got nowhere to go. Can't listen to no bitter hoe. I told my homegirl that a long time ago. I said, you better go get your husband. You were listening to the bitter hoe crew. She couldn't get her husband back. Her husband said, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I say, all the issues them women were talking about, I said, you didn't have none of them issues with your husband, did you? She was like, no. And you let them hoes influence you. That wasn't your life. That's their life. That wasn't your life. Your husband took care of you. He cared about you. He told you, baby, you ain't got to worry about nothing. All he asked for is respect my mind. And they like, nah, I can't do that. I can't do that. Nigga, is you dumb? I seen a whole bunch of women say, I'll be okay. I don't be married. You're lying. The reason why I say it's a lie is just because of simple nature. Everybody knows this here. You know, you got women be saying they introverts, but that's just, yeah, you know, that's is what it is. Women are societal creatures. They socialize easier. They make friends easier. They're more inclined to want to have interaction with people. That's where they gain their fulfillment at. Doesn't mean they have to be in a room full of 1,000 people and do this, that, there, and the third. But there's a reason why you see, for the most part, who likes to do entertaining? Usually women do. You know what I'm saying? Like to do the entertaining, bring the people over, put on a nice ambiance for friends and family. You know what I'm saying? Most men don't like to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's social. You know what I'm talking about? When you're dealing with social, a man can function way better than a woman could if he hits a certain age and he hasn't married and hasn't had kids. When that woman's 45, 46 years old and she's looking up and ain't no churn and ain't no man, she goes to feeling bad about herself. Ain't no dude in his mid-30s feeling bad about himself because he ain't got no woman. And guess what? When women see a dude at that age crying about he ain't got no woman, they look at him with disgust because they like, he thinking like me. See, this is how backward stuff is people try to fight their own nature of how you are. Men should have a natural desire to be laborers. I mean, what dude said to me, man, he was like, yeah, you know the Bible say when you get married, you're supposed to take a year off. I say, no, from war. Because what type of nigga want to take a year off from his purpose sitting up under a woman? You know what I'm saying? That's not even natural. You have people like, oh, you get married, you should take X amount of days off. Says who? Says who? A man's natural desire should be one to build something of note. If he has the wherewithal and the mental capabilities and abilities to do so. You know what I'm saying? Men are usually considered to be the ones to be what? Standoffish, not necessarily social. Like I said, you have some men who like to entertain. We're not saying that there's men, but overall, women get a new house. What's the first thing she want to do? She wants to have a housewarming party. Men don't usually do that. Let's have a housewarming party and invite people over so I can show them my house. And it's not for the purpose of showing their house. Women don't need any excuse to cook some food and bring people over so we can sit around and enjoy one another's company and eat. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to let that be known. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's just the difference. See, the man has to be what the text says in regards of being hospitable. People come in their home, they feel welcome. But he ain't trying to entertain nobody. You don't see too many dudes just inviting a whole bunch of people to their house, say, let me entertain you. Now, they did in the old days, but that was different. Y'all know that. They seen a brew walking in the street, but that's being hospitable, truth be told. Come on in here and stop walking in the street. Sit down and come get your something to eat, man. What y'all here for? People don't have that type of mind no more. You got too many weirdos out here. 1 Samuel chapter 24, verse 13. Unfortunately, we have way too many weirdos out here. As the proverb of the ancients, wickedness proceed from the wicked, but my hand shall not be upon you. This wickedness proceed from the wickedness from the wicked is also a tailoring of a good tree can't bring forth corrupt fruit, but a corrupt tree can't bring forth good fruit, because a corrupt tree can't do nothing but bring what? Corrupt fruit, because wickedness proceed from the wicked. So when you tell me, oh, you don't know who God and this, that, and you's a fool. Because is that not what he just said? Wickedness comes from the wicked. Yahuah said corrupt tree gonna bring forth corrupt fruit. So that's folly. That's foolishness. That's why I said right what I mentioned beforehand. If you see somebody with a particular mindset, you can't convert that mindset. You have to let them people be. Like you see a man, he's hell bent on. I put that in the chat for y'all. Where these people said, let's get rid of churches, because they make me feel uncomfortable about being a homosexual. You can't talk to nobody like that. That's not even the point. His mind is already made up that he gonna buy pillows, he gonna range for rumps, and that's what he's going to do, and allow him to do so and leave him alone. See, if you run across a man, he feel like dudes be like, man, I can't understand how these dudes want to go 50-50 with a woman. That's his business. You have to let him alone with that, if that's what he hell bent on. You can't try to persuade him into something else. If a woman says, I don't need a man, I don't want a husband. You know the crazy part is? It's very, very selfish when you think about it. Is that a lot of women who say they don't want a husband will go forth and go have kids. So they'll go have a child on purpose, knowing that they don't want a husband, and raise this child alone and put this child at a disadvantage on purpose to fulfill their selfish desire for having a child. With because they feel like that they have the ability to bring forth a functioning child, well, though you have millenniums of human history that shows that children are better served when they are raised by a father and a mother. Millennium of history. You have millennium of history to back this up, and you got a group of women in a 20, 30-year span say, no, millenniums of history is not correct. You can't have a conversation with individuals like that. You got niggas who fake activists. You know what I'm saying? And we take these people seriously, man. That's why I be telling y'all, y'all got to stop following behind everybody. Like they went to sharing posts because they say Bill Cosby was tagging a non-Messianic congregation and about, yeah, these brothers bringing out the truth. Oh, Bill Cosby and the truth. Man, screw Bill Cosby, nigga. That's all. You niggas dumb. You understand what I'm telling you? All a nigga got to do is mention the Hebrew congregation. That's all it takes. But I'm talking about that's all it takes. You niggas don't look for no actual product of fruit, of actually living Kadash, like the man say, Kadashness becometh his house. Ain't nobody looking for none of that. That's how you know that most of these people who deal with the word is faking, flogging, and flaw. Straight capping. Because you looking on outward appearance and you looking for verbs. And when I'm talking about verbs, not action words, just verbs in speech. Talking a whole bunch of this, that, there, and the third, that don't mean. But I seen Bruce get excited because celebrities knew the name Yahuah. Or I'm like, boy, y'all sad, man. I ain't moved because this man posted that. Why would I be moved because Bill Cosby say shout out to such and such congregation? That ain't gonna move me to get excited. Get excited for what? You know the sad part is, niggas be more excited about a celebrity and don't be excited about a brother in the street repenting. You know, Yahuah don't give a damn if Bill Cosby repent no more than the brother on the street repent. To him, it's all the same. Two sinners done came back to the house. He ain't giving no slot for no Bill Cosby. I done said this in the past. I ain't said it not too recently. Well, Yahuah not waking up no celebrities like y'all think, because stupid niggas gonna give credit to all the celebrities and not to him. So he not gonna use them people. Like you want them to be used because you think their notoriety gonna bring people to the word. The word gonna bring people to Yahuah, you jackass. I once heard a dude say, "Boy, young Jesus saved a lot of people." I said, "I know you stupid, boy. Boy, Yahuah don't need no celebrity to do nothing. Nothing. Because guess what? If they ain't want to hear the word from little old you, who nobody around the corner, they sure not going to hear it from somebody famous. That just show you how much that most of our people New Jack swing on celebrities and athletes nuts. That you think that people hold weight to them words. Them niggas don't mean nothing to me. Them niggas don't do nothing special to me. At the end of the day, all you do is run up and down the court and shoot a basketball, nigga. I'm not impressed. You played for 3 hours, letting 250-pound men slam into your body. You got to be a special type of stupid to subject your body to that type of punishment for the amusement of others. Because at the end of the day, we all like sports. We all like to watch it. It's entertainment. It has its spot, its place. You got to keep it in perspective. But at the end of the day, you looking at niggas who risk their physical health for your entertainment. Why would I hold you in high regard? Why would I hold a rapper in high regard when I know that 99.9% of the time that everything that you're saying, some A&R, some record exec has influenced you to put this out? Maybe not your first record. Maybe not even your second. Just like I heard a dude going off on Meek Mill, like, come on, Meek Mill. You still talking about selling guns and selling drugs. You've been famous for 10 years. Come on, man. 10 years. I'm supposed to take him seriously? Before Bill Cosby got locked up, what did this man ever do for anybody? Not nothing. Now all of a sudden he get. I told y'all better stop being pro-black and be pro-truth and pro-Yahuah. Pro-black get you in trouble. Because that means you're going to get pigeonholed. Everybody ran behind Stephen Jackson after the Junkie Man got killed, and now you don't. When Kwame Brown came out on the deal, now you see Stephen Jackson full of crap. But I already knew Stephen Jackson was full of crap. And when I say full of crap, meaning this is not a wise man. This is not a stable man. I've been known that because I've heard him talk too many times. I know you love your celebrities and your athletes, but you better stop it. Them people ain't nobody. Do you not know that this man told you? As a matter of fact, let's just pause and do it like this here. Because I got booked for it. Now, I'm not going to grab the verse. You should know where they at once I referenced them. In 1 Corinthians chapter 1, probably about verse 27, did this man not say that he doesn't choose many mighty or many noble, but the base things, the things that are despised? Is that not what the man said? Now, we talk about Saul and David, right? According to the text, David would be considered to be a base man because he wasn't nothing but a young shepherd boy. And Saul was considered to be a great man because he was goodlier and taller and better than everybody else. And he used this thing, this base man, the thing that was despised, and brought that Saul to nothing. Brought him to absolutely nothing. What read in the text is that Yahuah come through picking all these famous and greatly known men.
Only as an example.
Only, and usually when they use them, they got their head cracked.
Yeah, that's the example.
Now, I'm mentioning that here because we don't do, there's no need to despair. I'm just trying to let you know, man. Yahuah's word is greater than any man. It's not the man who spits the word, it's the word. If you think the man saying the word is going to give the word more weight, you're an unbeliever and the truth ain't in you.
And the beast gonna get you.
Oh, yes, the beast definitely going to get you. That is for certain. And I guarantee you right now, if Obama came out and said the black people are the Israelites, these niggas will lose their mind.
Yeah.
And you know what the sad part is? You losing your mind because somebody telling you an Israelite and not telling you to fear, honor, serve, trust, and hope in Yahuah. Something wrong with you. Your heart ain't right. You need to check it. Because that's all we get excited about. I was talking with a brother. He said that Tomorrow War movie, he said, is very anti-Israelite. I say, what is anti-Israelite? Why is that even a thing? It's anti-Yahuah. You can't be anti-Israelite. They're not fighting you. You are collateral damage in a war against the person that they actually despise. We've talked about this before. He didn't say they despise you because you're an Israelite. He said they despise you for his name's sake. Because his name is in your mouth. You bear witness and testify of him. They got a problem with him. Because guess what? If you don't keep and claim and testify Yahushua, the people don't care about you. You can run around and scream you an Israelite all day long. They be like, you believe in Yahushua? No, I don't believe in him. Well, shoot, you good. Yeah, they don't care nothing about that, man. You think this man say, you gonna deny him? He didn't say nothing about you denying your. Well, I seen another clip of doggone Nathaniel saying me like this here. Repent as an Israelite. What the hell does that even mean? And we go for this and we promote it and we propagate it, and it's damaging to the young kids because they're not going to be connected to the source where everlasting life come from. You got them connected to the flesh. A man told you the children of the flesh not counted for the seed, but the children of the promise. Well, you got to be born of that spirit, man. Don't let the people cost you your crown.
All the time, that's just like Yahushua said. He said, you Abraham's seed. Well, you can't be. Not talking like that.
I'm trying to tell y'all. I'm trying to tell you what's right before God. You can do what you want. 24 and 14. 1 Samuel. He said, after whom is the king of Yasharal come out? After whom do you pursue? After a dead dog? After a flea? Let's see what that means. When you look at flea, this is an isolated insect. The word is parosh, pei, rosh, ayin, and shan. So he is coming after a man who has experienced the words of the highest and been paired to them. He said, you coming out after a flea or a dead dog? Now, y'all know what it say about a dead dog. What that word say about a dead dog? What is a dog in this text? Come over here to Ecclesiastes, man. I know that scene might still be tripping for some of you, but it's okay. What does this text say about a dog? You the dog, nigga. You the dog. That joint always gonna be funny. You can pick it up in Ecclesiastes 9 and 1. What did the text say about a dog? Y'all know what the text say about a dog? Now when you see them niggas be like, yeah, see, Christ called her a female dog. Well, get your stupid butt up out of here, boy. That's her, yes, her. That's what these boys love to scream when they talking about calling a woman that nice four-letter word we ain't gonna use because it's churn lit. And they be like, they run around and start calling each other that. You'll be like, where you got that from? Bible study? And see, I don't want no responsibility for that.
That's funny what you said. I'd say that's over.
Brute beast to Peter, you ain't lied. Ecclesiastes 9 and 1. For all this I considered in my heart, even declare all this, that the righteous, the wise, and their works are in the hand of Elohim. No man know either love or hatred by all that is before them. All things come alike to all. There is one event to the righteous and to the wicked, to the good and to the clean, to the unclean, to him that sacrifice, and to him that sacrifice not. As is the good, so is the sinner. And he that swear, as he that fear an oath. Now I want you to sit back and consider. That's right, Kier, that is correct. Oh yeah, Trina too. I see both of y'all said the same thing. It doubled up. So listen to this here, right? He said he considered in his heart that the righteous, the wise, and the works, they're in the hand of Elohim. That means that he possesses them. He owns the works of the righteous and the wise. All that's telling you is what's in that Revelation 14 and 12. And the Ruach saith, blessed are those who die in the Lord from henceforth, and their works do follow them. Let's continue with the other part. He said their love and hate. She say no man know either love or hatred by all that is before them. See, what does that mean? No man can discern love and hatred unless it's presented before him. Yahuah has to give you that. You don't know either way. See, that take you back to the garden. They were naked. They didn't know either way. They didn't know they were loving or hating Yahuah at the point of their obedience or disobedience. Excuse me. He said all things come alike. Listen, right? Everything happens to everyone the same. Righteous, because that's what, and that take you back to the book of Job. A lot of people look at stuff be happening to people. He got to be righteous. He got to be wicked. That's stupidity. That don't mean nothing. Stuff happens. Look at verse 3. There's an evil among all things that are done under the sun. There's one event under all, and that is death. Yea, also the heart of the sons of men is full of evil. Madness is in their heart while they live, and after that they go to the dead. For him that is joined to all living there is hope, for a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything, neither have they any more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. Also their love, their hatred, their envy is now perished, neither have they any more portion in anything done under the sun. And after that, you know what he told you to do? Go your way, eat that man flesh with joy, eat bread with joy, drink wine with a merry heart, for now Elohim accept your works. After he told you all that about death, that man went and told you, eat the flesh and drink the blood. Then he told you, let your garments be white and don't let your head lack no ointment. Go on ahead and clean yourself up and get a little bit of ruach. But see, we ain't going to talk about all that right now because we've done that before. I know it's been a little second. Let me see what we want to use. Come over here to Deuteronomy 23. Deuteronomy 23. Let's talk about a price of a dog. 23 and 17. See, it's a lot of people going to go to hell just for this one here. You know, we've been talking about that one there now. Listen what he say, right? There shall be no whore of the daughters of Yasharal, nor a sodomite of the sons of Yasharal. See, we ain't supposed to be raising no hoes and no sissies. Now, when you look at whore, it's Kadasha. Now, understand what this is. That is a female temple prostitute or a simple harlot. Prostitute. See, I don't know if y'all know what that is, but y'all remember that, right? Sukkot Benov. You know what I'm talking about? Where they was in there in their temple. See, you have to understand something that's different for other people. The people of other nations, those women sold booty in their temples. You know what I'm talking about? And not just the ladies, the men too. See, Yahuah was letting the baby know, don't you be trying to bring no sacrifice money that you around here, you don't bring in the price. Don't you bring that around here, man. I don't want that. Guess what? All them hoes who be out there at the strip club, that's the price of a whore. And they think they can slide that in there on Sunday and think that junk be cool. Boy, that man don't want that money, man. See, a lot of these brews will be looking at it don't matter because they coming in those. It don't matter what day of the week they coming. They just in violation of a particular statute. But because even if you're making an offering to him, I don't care if you made the offering on the Shabbat, that man still don't want that. That's the price of a whore. That man don't want that. That's another reason why Yahushua snapped. You know what I'm talking about? When the people was in there selling stuff in the temple. Because they could have been bringing the price of all manner of stuff in there. See, we don't look at stuff like that because you caught up on worrying about the Christian church. Stop worrying about them people and just focus on righteousness, man. You can't be worried about them people. See, I told you before, we be so worried about proving them people wrong other than just showing them that this is the set apart way that you need to get down with. Because guess what? Most of them people got more of a heart inclined to follow the word than most people give them credit for. They get defensive, and you should know that. You're attacking them, dummy. You ain't got no skill. You ain't got no skill, so you can't win them over. That's not my thing. I can sit down with a Christian person. That's not my thing. I'm not concerned with them. I do know, brother, that's what they do. Get what? And they be getting them over there. All y'all want to prove, y'all pastors is idiots. What type of nigga is you? That's insecurity on your own masculinity at that point. I ain't got to prove nothing that this another man wrong because I already know he was wrong before I came in the door. So I don't need to prove that he wrong. I already know he wrong. I'm going to show you how wrong he is just by the level of my information, and I ain't got to say nothing about that man damn time. I ain't got to point out nothing about what he doing and what he got going on damn time because the level of my work is better than his. See, that's when you know you're confident in your work. See, if you got to step through the door and you got to talk down on the next man's work, you know your work trash. Good work sell itself. You ain't got to talk on his work if your work good. Yahushua ain't never walked around there and talk about what them scribes and Pharisees were talking about. For what? I'm talking about when he was in front of the masses. When he talked to his apostles, he let them know certain things. Hey, them boys on a different type of time. You need to peep. See, that's what a real father does. Son, let me tell you about them boys over there. See, them boys, this is how they kick their game. See, I need you to beware the leaven of their hypocrisy. See, leave them alone, son. They blind leaders of the blind. That's what a father do with it. Say he school them. You know what I'm talking about? So you know what you're dealing with, because I ain't going to be here with you all the time, son. You got to go out here. You got to handle this business. You know what I'm talking about? But when you see this man out there in front of them people, bro, that man ain't never talked down on what them people were talking about. For what? He already know his work was good. My dope better than yours. So that's obvious. He'll tell them they stupid to their face like a real man should. But shoot, my dope better than yours. That's one thing I ain't never had to do. I ain't got to talk that. I'll mock you because I'm just that type of nigga. You know what I'm saying? But my work, I already know my work was better than yours when I got here. I already know my work better than yours. I'm down with the plug and it's uncut. You know what I'm saying? See, a lot of people like to say, we ain't no re-rock, ain't no acetone. This is pure 100% brick. Never, not stepped on, ain't nothing. My work better than yours. I ain't worrying about you. I ain't got to think about you or talk about you. I know you can't fool with me because you can't fool with him. See, when you know the person who riding with you can't be messed with, can't be faded, then you ain't worried about nobody fading you. Why you think this man walked around here with the left? Why you think David felt the way that he felt? He knew Yahuah was with him. Ain't worrying about Saul and none of what you people talking about. The living Elohim and the maker of all things is with me. You can't do nothing to me. Why you think Yahushua told Pilate you couldn't do nothing against me unless it was given to you from above? You can't do nothing to me, boy. You must don't know who my father is. You must don't know who I'm down with. I can't be touched. That's the mentality you have to have. Not walking around here on some old arrogant jumper just knowing that there's nothing that anyone can do to you. Whether you live or whether you die, you live with Mashiach. So why do you care? Nevertheless, let's continue on this 23 and 17. So you know what this sodomite is. You ain't got no business around here letting nobody play in your booty hole. Sodomite, of course, you know, is Kadashi. And that is, again, that is a male temple prostitute. This is a man who is selling his booty at the temple. I know I'm saying it like this here so you can understand that in the ancient societies, they're not doing nothing different than what they're doing now. Truth be told, they might have been worse. And the reason why I say they might have been worse because they do it in the open. People are not, they just starting to be open with this stuff. I mean, so you can't bring that in here, man. Don't bring that in here. Say no whores, no male temple prostitutes, no female temple prostitutes, anybody at the house of Yasharal. We don't play them type of games over here. You ain't going to be around here selling your sexual wares to another god. That's what you're not going to do. This is the next thing he said. You shall not bring the hire of a whore or the price of a dog into the house of Yahuah for any vow. For even these are an abomination unto Yahuah your Elohim. You bet not do it. What is the hire of a whore? The hire of a prostitute. The reward. Huh? You've been selling coochie? You've been stripping? You want to bring that in here? That man said, I don't want it. When you look at the price of a dog, again, it's the reward or the gain of a literal, not a literal dog, but of course, you know the word is kaleh, and that is a male prostitute, someone of a pagan sacrifice, something that is contempt or a base. So what he's letting you know is, don't bring the price of no male prostitute in here. Don't bring the reward of what you gained from your pagan sacrifices. Don't bring them in here. So when you see what a living dog is better than a dead lion, or you coming out against a dog or a flea, you coming out against somebody you find to be contemptible and abased. And now when we turn around and look at Yahushua, that's how they found him. They found him to be someone who was contemptible and abased, of whom they could come out and to make war with. See, let's turn around and look at that in John, what it is. 18, just because I just like the way that the Lord straightened them. I always like the way how he straightened them in this particular vantage point. 18 and 19. My man. John 18 and 19. The high priest then asked Yahushua of his disciples and of his doctrine. Yahushua answered him, I spake openly to the world, and I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple, whether the Yahudim always resort. In secret have I said nothing. Why ask you me? Ask them which heard me. What have I said unto them? Behold, they know not what I said. What video are you talking about, Shayla? And when he had thus spoken, one of the officers which stood by struck Yahushua with the palm of his hand. Answering you, the high priest, so? Yahushua answered him, if I have spoken evil, bear witness of the evil. But if not, why smite you me? Now, again, this is what you do to somebody who you find contemptible or abased. So I went through all that for you to understand the dog, because a living dog is better. Somebody who's living and they consider to be contemptible or low is better than a dead lion who's considered to be a king. So you have to understand something, that a Gentile was considered to be contemptible or abased in the eyesight of Elohim. That's why I say you were, estranged from the covenants of life and from the living Elohim. But when we look at, David making this statement of after whom the king of Yasharal come out, after whom did he pursue? After a dead dog or after a flea? You coming after somebody who's dead and who is abased? Now, come on back over here, right, to 1 Samuel 24 and 14. Of course, dead is Muth, one who has been executed. And dog, of course, is Caleb, as we just looked at. This is someone who is contemptible or abased. Yahushua will be considered to be a dead dog, because he was someone who was considered to be contemptible and abased and who was executed. Because remember, Muth means to kill or to execute. And that's who he came out after him as. And that's how they came out after Yahushua. Because, in Matthew 26 and 1, they stated how they were going to put a plan together so that they might take him and kill him. Because in their mind, they came out after him as a dead dog and as a flea, someone who was not considered to be of any worth or value. Look at verse 15. Now, again, did he come out after David because he was an Israelite? No, Saul came after David because David served Yahuah. David trusted in Yahuah. David hoped in Yahuah. David praised Yahuah. David was willing to suffer for Yahuah's name's sake. Remember, David was already anointed to be king, and yet Saul sat on the throne. You have to keep that in mind, that David knew he was king the whole time he was going through this. That's the part that is overlooked by many in the interaction between Saul and David. David had already known that he had been anointed to be king the entire time he was dealing with this. The average brewer in this day and time, if they would have been in the same situation, they would have killed Saul, talked greasy, been disrespectful and reckless, and they would have just shown that they weren't a man as David, who was prudent in all matters, i.e. he had an understanding of the word. See, this is what you have to understand. If Yahuah had anointed you to be king, then you're going to be king regardless, and you're going to be king in Yahuah's time. Not having the arrogance to be like, well, I'm king. That's why Yahuah increased David more and more in everything that he did, because he constantly humbled himself. Every time he was faced with a situation, he cast his care upon Yahuah because he knew Yahuah cared for him. He anointed me to be king. I've trusted in this man my entire life. Let's just pause and put it to you this way. The amount of faith that David had was a direct reflection of what his father taught him. Where else would he have gotten that from? He was a shepherd boy. Who would he have learned that from? He got that from his father. You understand? That's why they always coming at you, the patriarchy and all that type of stuff. When you hear people talk like that, you got to exit the chat. You got to exit the chat. There's no reasoning with people like that. You don't even need to try. You have to be willing to do what the text tells you to do. Yahushua told you, let them alone. As far as dealing with people who seek to lead others, they blind leaders of the blind. That's if you have a commission to open up people's eyes. He said that they both be blind, they're going to fall in a ditch, meaning let them die. See, a lot of people don't really want to hear that. Why would the Lord say that? Because if the lay leader's stupid and they stupid enough to follow him, let them die. But he already told you that in Ezekiel 13, that if you seek after the false prophet, the reward for that person going to be the same as the prophet of whom they're seeking after. So he's not saying anything new. Let them die. You can't make straight what he done made crooked. Let them perish. See, the reason why we can't do that, because as men, we're thinking like women, meaning we're seeking to nurture and save the unsavable. Men supposed to have enough wherewithal dealing with the fact of if an individual doesn't want to save himself, you must let him just fall victim to his folly. You see, it's what it is. You're not going to do anything but frustrate and drain yourself if an individual has no desire to elevate their life. There's nothing you can do about that. You can't love someone into doing right. Because if that's the case, Yahushua would have never had to even offer his life. You just can't love somebody into doing right. It has to be a desire, their own heart's desire to do so. You can be a reflection of love. You can be a manifestation of love, but you can't love anybody, because if this man has absolutely laid his life down and men still reject him and deny him and won't obey him, then you know a man laying his life down, greater love have no man in this, than a man lay his life down for his friends. If that level of love won't get nobody to love him, what makes you think you can do anything better? You can't. So you have to accept what it is and what it ain't and go forward. See, that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's a pill that got to be taken. I ain't telling you that it's going to be easy. I ain't going to tell you that. I ain't telling you you're going to like it. I'm just telling you what it is, man. Everything that we deal with in life, we're not going to like. Everything we deal with in life ain't as smooth and nice as we would like it to be. But it just is what it is. You know what I'm talking about? I've pointed this out to you too many times. Yahushua didn't spend too much time worrying about the people who didn't believe. He had too much time to be worried about focus on those who did. See, our problem is we take away the focus on people like, we got to stop preaching to the choir and go out there to the lost souls. Man, you can do both. But at the end of the day, if the lost souls don't want to be found, then I got to put my focus on those who want to be found. Why would I be putting focus on people who don't want what I'm selling? See, that's simp stuff. Yahuah ain't no simp. He's not no sucker, no buster, no charm. He's extend his hand to anybody who wants it. But if you don't want it, he gonna focus on the people who do. He ain't gonna spend all his time focusing on the people who don't. That means you don't value yourself when you do that. When you place all your energy on people who don't like you and don't want you. Bro, that's simp tough, man. What's wrong with you? Respect yourself. Why you don't value yourself to understand clearly? See, understand something, right? Paul wrote in one of his letters, he said, if they judge themselves unworthy of salvation, he said the only thing you can do is pray that they stop opposing themselves. That's all you can do. Because if you judge yourself unworthy, see, you have to understand something. As a man, you need to understand when somebody is worthy to be in your presence. And it's always better. It ain't got to be no romantic stuff. Friends, business, I don't care what it is. It is always better to deal with people who choose you. Because the people who choose you, you're going to have a better interaction with them because they like you. And when people like you, it's much easier to deal with them. When you have to try to make someone like you or make someone see that you're valuable or worthy, they don't like you. So the interaction is never going to be good because you're going to be overextending yourself to prove to this person how worthy you are. As a man, you an idiot if you do that. There's no reason to do so. There's no reason to do so. And it ain't no different with the word. We sat there and can read in John 8 where this man was talking to a group of people, and then all he did was focus on the Jews who believed and stop talking to the people who didn't. He did it too many times. I'm focusing on the people who choose me. He told you in Proverbs chapter 8, I love those that love me. Is that not what he said? He said, I don't pray for the world. I pray for them. That means the people who don't fool with me, I ain't fooling with them. I ain't worried about them. I'm worried about the ones that love me. I'm concerned with them because I'm going to give them the benefits of me. I'm going to give them the best that I have to give to them. Because these people here don't want it. They have not chosen me. They do not want me. So therefore, that is fine. I'm going to focus on them over here. That doesn't make you unmerciful. That doesn't make you evil. That doesn't make you harsh. That makes you a man who understands that it is better to focus on those who desire the benefit of what you have to give than to try to force the benefit on people who don't want it. Why do you think he cut Saul off and told Samuel, what you mourning for him for? He ain't want what I got to give. I got a better man to give it to. And he desires what I want. See, y'all didn't even see all that. See, Yahuah ain't play around with Saul and beg Saul to do this and do that. Saul showed him he ain't want what he had to give. He said, we're going to stay over there. I'm going to focus on this man over here who want it. So this is a man after my own heart. Everything I got to give, everything I got to say, he cherishes it. He relishes it. He desires it. He longs for it. So I'm going to focus on him. It's easier to have mercy on somebody who desires you. It's easy to have compassion and grace and favor on somebody who longs for you. See, we got to get up out of that they're giving young boys female state of mind. Men don't think like that. Most importantly, rulers and kings don't think like that. Rulers focus on those who want to be ruled. Absolutely. And when I say rulers focus on those who want to be ruled, when you were ruled, that's someone who's being guided and directed and protected. So rulers are always going to focus on the ones who want to be guided, protected, and directed. If you don't want to be guided and directed and protected, then what you around here for? I just seen a post where they were like, hey, man, if she can't be corrected, she's not wife material. And they was like vice versa. What a woman got any business doing correcting a man? Baby, and the reason why I say that is not that a woman couldn't check a man, but why would you want to be with a man you got to check? That means he ain't fit to lead, baby. That ain't your job to do that. That's the men around him to let him know, boy, what is you doing? Nigga, you tripping. You know what I'm saying? Stuff out of whack. It's out of whack. Because all they're trying to do is to teach men to think like women. And when you think like women, you ain't fit to lead. And when I say you think fit to lead, because you ain't going to have the mind of the king. You ain't going to have the mind of Elohim. Because Elohim ain't no woman. Your father is a spirit, and that's a masculine spirit. They can sit here and spin it to you. Ruach is feminine. Wisdom is feminine. They can play all them games that they want to play. And you can play them too, to your heart's content. But at the end of the day, that's a man. He's a personification of masculinity, not a personification of a physical man, but a personification of who and what a man is, who and what a man is supposed to be. The mind and the heart and the spirit of a man, that is Yahuah through and through. And you can't have his spirit in you with no mind of no woman, because he ain't got no mind of no woman, because Elohim is a Ruach, and Ruachs don't have emotions. Meaning they're not led by emotions. They're not directed by emotions. They're not guided by emotions. This man is not subject to the flesh. Therefore, he is not ruled by it. That's why you must be born again. Because if you are of the flesh, you're subject to all the things of the flesh. And those of us who belong to Hamashiach have crucified the affections of lust. Therefore, you're not under the law, i.e. death. Continuing on. First Samuel chapter 24. Verse 15. Yahuah therefore be judge, and judge between me and you, and see and plead my cause, and deliver me out of your hand. That's again the referencing back to what? Vengeance is mine, saith Yahuah. I want y'all to look at judge, right? Dayan, Dalit, Yad, Nun. This is a judge. This is an advocate. Dalit. You can sit back and say the sacrifice, or the right hand, Yahushua's sacrifice leads to eternal life. Because that is an advocate. Pause. 1 John chapter 2. Because that's what David's asking for. Let Yahuah be my advocate and speak on my behalf. Uh-oh. Let's come over here to 1 John chapter 2 one time for the one time. 1 John chapter 2 verse 1. My little children, these things write I unto you that you sin not. If any man sin, we have an advocate with Abba, Yahushua HaMashiach the righteous. He is the propitiation for our sins, and not for ours only, but also for the sins of the world. Now, I know this is a remedial question. Can anybody give me in their own words, unless you want to use the exact definition of what is an advocate? What is an advocate? I'll get the Greek definition for advocate for you. What is an advocate? Because clearly the Hebrew dayan is the equivalent for judge. An advocate, someone who speaks on your behalf. Now, this Greek word for advocate is parakletos. This is someone who is called to one side, one who pleads another's cause before a judge, a pleader of counsel for defense, a legal assistant, one who pleads another's cause with one, here we go, an intercessor. An intercessor. So now, someone who roots for you, oh no, not that one. But it's just pretty much what he just put, someone who speaks on your behalf, but more specifically, an intercessor. An intercessor. So David is letting Saul know that Yahuah is going to be his intercessor. Now let's go to Isaiah 59:16. Let's see what this Hebrew word for intercessor is. It's not used in context of what we're dealing with, so we just want the word. So we're not going to focus on the verse that it was in, but I guess we can. 59:15. Say, yea, truth fail. He that depart from evil make himself a prey. Yahuah saw it, it displeased him, and there was no judgment. There was no man, and wonder that there was no intercessor. Therefore his arm brought salvation unto him, and his righteousness it sustained him. Now, of course, this is dealing with Yahushua's death, and there was nobody to intercede on your behalf. Now, pagah is the word for intercessor here. That is someone who can entreat and to make intercession. Pay, gamal, and ayin. The messenger knows the word. You understand? That's why he can intercede. Now, a lot of people say you can go directly to Yahuah. Y'all know what I'm finna ask y'all. Because I got to ask y'all this periodically when the time down the line. I need an example of an intercessor. I need an example of said intercessor who you mentioned. So don't rush to type. Because if you come with an incomplete answer, I'm not going to acknowledge you. You need to come up with who was the intercessor, who did he intercede for, and why did he intercede for them? I need details. I don't need no names. I need to know who the intercessor was, whom did he intercede for, and why. Because intercessors plead on your behalf. I need to know who was the intercessor, who did they intercede for, and why. I'm gonna see if anybody gonna pick the most obscure one. I always pull that obscure one for y'all, but I'm gonna see who picked the most obscure one. I know most gonna pick the easiest one because that's pretty easy. Who is an intercessor? Who do they intercede for, and why? Oh, you're not following instructions, baby. You're not following instructions. Again, the instructions are, who was an intercessor? Who did they intercede for? And why? That's a 3-part question. I need all 3 answers. Incomplete answers are not going to be accepted. I need to know who was an intercessor, who did they intercede for, and why. I will allow it. Abigail did intercede for Nabal for his folly. That is accurate. Yes, that's the same one he just used. So you came right behind him on that one. That has been seconded in the motion. Abraham interceded for the people of Sodom and Gomorrah and to save Lot. I will allow it. Now that's a good one. You pull one out because we just read that the other day. Joseph did intercede on his brother's behalf. That is accurate. That they not be not only just for the famine, but that they wouldn't be held to task for selling him. That's definitely allowable. I'm surprised that the most apparent one besides Abraham, nobody used. That's all right. I appreciate that. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit more time. I'll give you another minute or so for anybody else. Don't be scared now. And Stanley just chose the one, the most obscure one that most people look over, and that was Jeremiah being an intercessor. Absolutely. But I appreciate y'all not using the easiest one. Anybody else would like to proffer anything for that? Going once? Going twice? And there it is. Now, see, Shaylee picked the easiest one, but she had an incomplete answer because she didn't give why they interceded and whom they interceded for. But see, you just gave an incomplete answer, man, because you didn't state why. It's an incomplete answer. See, y'all would have got your paper back. You know what I'm talking about? With an I on it. Wouldn't have got an F, you'd have got an I for incomplete. Because he sought to kill him. But why did he want to kill him? What did they do? She don't smell delightful. Don't last long, though. This is Poor Home. Little Gucci Guilty Poor Home. And that's also, Esther did intercede on the behalf of the people to stave off destruction. For your question, who moved her to do it? And how did she intercede? What did she do? What did she do, Sean? How did she intercede? What did she do? And who directed her to do so? Oh, I just seen where you came from, Mike. We just popped up out of nowhere. But why, Michael? Why? The same thing I asked Deidre. Why? Why did he wish to kill him? Why did he desire to have mercy on the people? What did they do? Okay, I see you, Deidre. What about you, Michael? Why did he pray for him to have mercy on them? I'm asking y'all that for a reason, because I just want that put out there for other people to see for themselves. Not that I doubt that you know the answer. I know y'all know the answer. What did the children of Israel do that made Yahuah want to kill him and for Moses to ask to have mercy on the people? That's right, Mordecai did. What did she do for her intercession or pleading on their behalf? How did she bring that to pass, sir? Idolatry. Yes. I can dig it. Indeed. I'll accept that. It was plenty. That's the easiest one. See, I'm mentioning all this here for a reason. Now, when you look at David, because we're not reading all these things, you can read the answers that everybody gave if you're not familiar with them. Because I just wanted you to think, to sit back and understand. And also for you to know that Yahushua is not the first intercessor by any. Indeed, absolutely. It's not the first intercessor by any means or stretch of their imagination. Absolutely, Michael, absolutely. By no stretch or means of any stretch of their imagination. So when you sit back and you look at what David is saying, You have two adversarial positions. David is going against Saul. Saul effectively is Satan because he is, by definition, an adversary. And he is telling him, I should say, that Yahuah will be my advocate. He will speak on my behalf. If you recall, in the epistle of the Hebrews, it stated that Abel's blood cried out to Yahuah. It advocated or interceded and spoke on his behalf. He heard that cry. When you turn around and you see the same, because remember he said there was no intercessor. There was nobody who stood up and interceded on Yahushua's behalf. So as the prophet Habakkuk stated, wrong judgment proceeds. And one who was more righteous than someone else has perished. You understand? So that's why Yahushua can go up into the Kadash tabernacle and sit at the right hand of the Father and to make intercession on your behalf, on all those who come to Elohim by him, because he will be the one to advocate and speak on your behalf that this man should accept you. See, if Yahuah accepts you, there's no one that can reject you. But if Yahuah rejects you, there's no one that can get him to accept you. That's what people don't sit back and understand. This man is not a simp. This man is not a sucker. He's not no buster. He's not no lame. You're not going to do this man any kind of way and think that he going to go for this. See, we had this mentality because people are that way. You do people that way, and a lot of people still take you back, deal with you, this, that, there, and the third. She did, but the part that you missing that Mordecai asked her to do, he asked her to fast and pray. That's what I was looking for. He asked her to fast and pray. He told her to sanctify fast and told her, baby, you don't even know if Yahuah had put you in place for times such as this. Always understand that and know that, right? He was an advocate for Yasharal in that sense, Kira. I cannot disagree with you in that regard. He was sent to bring forth a blessing and not a curse, and he advocated on behalf of Yasharal to Balaam. I mean, to Balak, because Balak was going to die, and there was nothing that could be done. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just leaving for you to sit back and understand that is that if you roll with you, matter of fact, let's put it this way. Yahuah was an advocate for Job and interceded for Job against Satan because he advocated and spoke on Job's behalf directly to Satan himself. And say, you consider my servant Job, he eschews evil, just and upright man. What do you mean? He was an advocate for him. He interceded for him. He spoke for him. Nevertheless, I just want that concept to be in your mind and understand what he's saying to them. What he's saying to Saul, excuse me. What, an intercessor? No, he wouldn't be it because he didn't speak on anybody's behalf. He just would have been the offering. But yeah, he didn't speak on anybody's behalf. Let's go back to 1 Samuel 24 and 15. Let's look at it one more time. So he says, right, Yahuah therefore be judge, so to speak on my behalf and judge between me and you. So he, look here, right? What, an intercessor? You could say Samuel, because Samuel sought to intercede for Yasharal when they asked for a king. And he tried to advocate for him. And Yahuah told him, protest a little solemnly. Because, Yahuah was really, really peeved with them asking for a king. And Samuel tried to plead their case and plead their cause. And Yahuah said, you know what? He said, don't be upset, son. They ain't rejected you. They rejected me. But this is what I want you to go tell them. Now, of course, you have Shaphat for judge here, which is to vindicate or to punish or to decide the controversy. You don't have Mishpat here. So David is telling him, let Yahuah be the advocate and punish between me and you. And see and plead my cause and deliver you out of my hand. Now, remember what I just told y'all. Saul literally is Satan. So what is this taking us back? Because he's literally an adversary. What does this take us back to? This takes us back to the John 16. With the advent of Yahushua, stating and saying that when the Ruach HaKadosh is come, he will reprove the world of sin and of righteousness, of judgment, of sin because they believe not on me, of righteousness because I go to my Abba and you see me no more, and of judgment because the prince of this world is judged. Now, Saul had already been judged, but this statement is letting it be known Saul is going to be judged. Yahushua was delivered out of the hand of the devil, i.e. death, because Yahuah stood up and was a judge and an advocate for Yahushua and judged between Yahushua and the devil and vindicated and punished the devil and pled Yahushua's cause and delivered him out of his hand. You can go look at Romans 8 for that one if you would. Of course, plead is reb. That is to strive and contend or to conduct a case. Matter of fact, Romans 8, and you can pick it up at verse 1 if you would. I was going to go a little back further, but there's no need. Right here, Romans 8 and 1. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Mashiach Yahushua, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Ruach. That's what you see with David, that he was walking after the word or after the spirit. He wasn't walking after his flesh because his flesh told him you could have killed this man and he didn't. That's why he was not condemned. Let's continue. For the law of the Ruach of life and Mashiach Yahushua have made me free from the law of sin and death. For what the law could not do, and that it was weak through the flesh, Elohim sending his own son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemned sin of the flesh, and David is representative of the Ruach and putting sin to death in the flesh. But that's another conversation because, David didn't actually kill the man, but you understand the point that is being made. Come on back to 1 Samuel chapter 24, verse 16. And it came to pass when David made an end of speaking these words unto Saul, is this your voice, my son David? Saul lifted up his voice and wept. And he said to David, you are more righteous than I, for you have rewarded me good, whereas I rewarded you evil. And what did Yahushua do? He have ascended on high and take captivity captive and give gifts unto men, even to the rebellious also. Because you said, let his blood be on our children's children. You rewarded that man evil, and he rewarded you with good by giving you a portion of his spirit. You ungrateful, disrespectful bastards, you. How dare us? How dare not every single solitary one of us who want to run around here claiming this and claiming that, do not sit back and serve this man with every ounce of your soul, with joy and continual obedience, trust, hope, and faith every single solitary day. Because all you done gave this man is evil. He ain't gave you nothing but good. Anytime guess what? Same way he cut that garment off of Saul, used that sword to cut a piece off the border of Saul's garment, Yahushua could have used the sword to cut your whole head off. You know what I'm talking about? But yet he showed mercy and compassion and say, you know what? I'll advocate on your behalf, even though I should kill you. See, that's the part of it that you don't understand. That's why we treat the man like he is sin. Because he's merciful. See, people take mercy for granted. You don't appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? When somebody can do something to you that you know that you deserve and they don't do it, and they give you space to correct yourself, you don't appreciate it. See, we take that as weakness. That's why most people don't like to be merciful. That's why in the world people say they would rather be feared than to be loved. But see, it's not the type of fear that Yahuah talking about, reverence and honor. People want you to be scared of them. Because when you're merciful to people, people feel like they can run over you. And I ain't talking about no stuff how women be talking about, because it's way more detrimental for a man to be perceived as weak than a woman. It's way more detrimental to him. Because most men already perceive women to be weaker. You know what I'm saying? So it's not I ain't going to respect this woman because she's weaker. That doesn't enter in a man's mind. Men don't respect men who they consider to be weak. And they trample over them. Even to the detriment of their own life. That's why you wonder why a lot of these boys be out here doing the stuff they be doing out here in these streets. Because they know they cannot be viewed as seen as being weak, or their life will be pure hell. That's not a woman's existence. I I've told y'all this before. A woman ain't got to prove her mettle or having or showing that she has a propensity of violence to get people to leave her alone. Unfortunately, young men have to do that. And that's all races of men. That ain't no black men thing. That's all races of men. They have to show themselves to be physically dominant in arenas with other men to be respected. Men don't respect weak men. Men don't listen to nor follow weak men. Shoot, women don't respect, listen, or follow weak men. So you know men don't do it, and it's even more detrimental to a man to be perceived as weak, because now he's viewed as less than by both genders and will be treated as such. And when most men don't know how to control that violence or that strength or that propensity of lashing out, they're emotionally and mentally unstable and still not respected. There has to be a wherewithal, as we've seen with David, to know how to behave yourself wisely, to be circumspect and to be prudent in your doings and in your movements. As I'm telling you, it's not, a lot of people be like, men got it easy. Most women wouldn't want to be a man for longer than 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Not longer than 30 minutes. Once they get her understanding and realizing what it is that men have to deal with. You don't want anything to do with it. But people who always perceive that somebody has an advantage and greater always perceives it that way until you actually have to do what that person has to do. Most people perceive athletes and entertainers and politicians and all, and yeah, they might be involved in some salacious and nefarious things. But at the same time, the people had to put in a lot of work and do a lot of things to get to where they are at. And most people are not willing to do that. You're thrilled at the thought of it, but you don't want to do the work. You don't have the focus, the discipline, or the desire to do what those people did to get to where they're at, which is no different than Yahuah. Everybody want to spot at this man's feast. Everybody want to sit at this man's right hand in his throne, but don't nobody want to do the work that he did to get it. You're enamored at the thought of everlasting life. You're enamored at the thought of entering into a kingdom. But you don't want to go through the trials, the tribulations, and the sufferings, and the work, and the dedication and self-control that it's going to take in order to receive it. Matter of fact, since I said that, come over here to drop down just a tad. And there's Romans chapter 8. Pick this up at about verse 19. He say, "For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the esteem which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature wait for the manifestations of the sons of Elohim." Indeed, we do like shortcuts. And the sad part is we got the best shortcut you could get, because to get to the kingdom, all you got to do is go through the Lord. There ain't no greater shortcut than that. You ain't got to literally die. You ain't got to do none of the stuff that he went through. All you have to do is be made in the likeness of his death and live to Elohim afterwards, and you good. Paul said, if we suffer with him, we'll reign with him. See, people want things easy. And I've told you before, nothing worth having is easy. You know what I'm saying? Nothing worth attaining is, and when we say easy, meaning it's just, it's nothing. It's work. That's what it means when you say nothing worth having is easy. It's work. A marriage worth having is work. A child worth having is work, because you have to do the work entailed to make that interaction be successful. And most people don't want to do that work. Because if we talked about this before, and you're dealing with love, you shouldn't be arguing and fighting every day. But we do know that offenses will come. And it's not the fact that the offenses will come, it's how you deal with them when they come. That's the hallmark of doing the work. See, it's not the matter, it's how you handle the matter. Most people handle the matter poorly. The reason why you see so many people get divorced in this country is because nobody wants to deal with things when things are tough. Because then that means that you're going to have to do work. Everybody wants things easy. And again, nothing worth having is easy. You're going to have to put your hand to the plow. Most people don't want to put their hand to the plow. You want it handed to you. You want it to just fall out the sky. And also that's because, I told you before, you're looking for a fantasy of an emotional love. And if you're looking for an emotional love, you're devoid of any reasonable intelligence. That's male or female. You're devoid of any reasonable intelligence because you have bought a packaged and dressed up lie sold to you for you to be a consumer. So you would have to say that you were devoid of reasonable intelligence. And many people, male and female, have been there. That's but you can't get better till you accept the fact that on this matter, I am devoid of reasonable intelligence. Because I know that there is no emotional love that these people are selling that can ever be attained. This can't be attained and it can't be sustained over an extended period of time. Because you're dealing with emotion, which means it's ebbs and flows, changes, switches. That's not consistent. That's not an Elohim, because that means that's going to be confusion and chaos. So we don't want to deal with that. You want to deal with the love of Elohim because the love of Elohim is consistent and solid. It does not change. It doesn't change. See, if you're more focused on love in its proper fashion versus a love that make you feel a particular way, you'll be better off. Feelings fade. Remember, the word of Elohim endures. And this book say Elohim is love, and the word of Elohim endures. That means love don't change. I don't need you to love me with your feelings. What is your feelings going to do for me? Because you feel like this on Tuesday and Friday, you're going to feel differently. Now I have to adjust to how you feel. I'm telling you, this whole society and got people going. That's why you gotta love people how they want to be loved. Love people by their love language. Well, if your love language ain't the love of Yahuah, damn your love language and what you got going on. You can't never be loved. If your love language ain't the word of Yahuah, you can't never be loved because you ain't never gonna be satisfied. Because at that point, you're making everything to be about you. Yeah. And you know why they like to come in some other way? Because the other way, also, as you just stated, and it's easier. But just think about that, right? Somebody say they'll say, I want gifts. So basically, the only way you can feel love is somebody buy you something. Well, it don't matter. So again, you want somebody to love you in the aspect of you have to excrete some type of monetary or physical movement or whatever to get me something. Versus if this person is guiding you correctly, disciplining you and rebuking you when you need to be. You know what I'm saying? Keeping you full of joy, manifesting the faith of Elohim. What greater love is that? You have some niggas be like, this nigga died for me, but he ain't give me no gift, so he must ain't love me. What kind of junk is that? That's what people got going on in their brain. It's really selfishness. It's what they're really trying to get us to be, is to be selfish. Because love is selfless. The book already told you this. Love don't seek her own. So if you say you love somebody, why are you seeking the love that you want? Because that's not what love does. That's not what this book say. Love don't seek what she wants. So you saying the only way I'm going to give love is if you love me how I want to be loved. And if you don't love me how I want to be loved, then I ain't going to love you. That's why the community damaged. You love the love of Elohim, everything you want, be satisfied. But we don't want that. And also, of course, you know, you got men, they want men to operate in a different way. Men don't love like women, and women don't love like men, and that's fine. And that's fine. See, a woman can get the love that she gets from her father, from her husband. She can get that again. But we talked about this before. A man is never going to get the love from his wife that he got from his mama, and you don't need to be looking for it. That woman don't have no bond with you, man. She ain't carry you in her uterus for 9 months. She ain't push you out her womb or watch you get cut out her womb. She ain't got that bond with you, cuz. She never has and she never will. Like I said, a woman could go from her father to her husband and get the same type of love and care and direction and guidance that she got from her father, from her husband. But boy, you're not getting that love from your mama, from your wife. I can tell you that right now. You're not getting it. And that's why a lot of men get messed up in the head, because you're looking for your wife to love you like your mama, and she's not going to do it. And you shouldn't be mad at her for not doing it. That's not her fault. That's not her job. She's not your mama. She's your wife. Again, she's not your mama. That's your wife. Once your wife begin to see you as her son, boy, it's over. It's over. The respect out the window. That's your wife, man. That's not your mama. She the mama to your kids, but she ain't your mama, and she ain't gonna love you like she love them kids. Not meaning that she gonna love the kids more, but her love for them kids gonna be different than the love that she got for you. See, your woman should love you with admiration and respect. You know what I'm saying? Your mama don't love you with admiration and respect. Your mama ain't looking at you like, I'm sure admire my son. No, she doesn't see you that way. That's her boy. I carried him. I nursed him. I fed him. When he hurt himself, I hugged him. I told him that he was this, that, there, and the third. That's my son. I love him. She doesn't look at you with admiration and respect. That's the difference. Your wife should look at you with admiration and respect. Same way you ought to be looking at Yahuah, with admiration and respect. 1 Samuel chapter 24, verse 17. And he said to David, you are more righteous than I. You have rewarded me good, whereas I have rewarded you evil. You have showed me this day how you have dealt well with me. For as much when Yahuah delivered me into your hand, you killed me not. For if a man find his enemy, will he let him go well away? Wherefore Yahuah reward you good, for that have you done unto me this day. And now behold, I know well that you shall surely be king, and that the kingdom of Yasharal shall be established in your hand. Swear now therefore unto me by Yahuah that you will not cut off my seed after me, and that you will not destroy my name out of my father's house. David swore unto Saul, and Saul went home. David and his man got them up unto the hold. This is another reason why David didn't kill Saul. He swore that he wouldn't do it, that he would not eliminate a seed. Now, what Yahuah do, that's another conversation. But he said, hey, I'm not going to do it. Let's come back over here to 1 Samuel 18, because we had skipped ahead in the duration of this story. Now, this ain't something that you brothers got to answer out loud, but you got to ask yourself, does my wife admire me? And the reason when you ask that question, the question, it should not be the focus on her. Does she admire me? The next thing you should be thinking to yourself, do I have admirable traits? Do I have an admirable character? Do I have admirable actions? Do I have things that would cause someone to look at me and admire me and respect me that have nothing to do with money? That has nothing to do with, because people admire, that's why we admire athletes and entertainers and rich people. You admire and respect their ability to make money. But you don't know them people. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference. Because remember, the text say to have a good name is better than choice silver. So to have a good name, that means there's some, remember, to have a good name, as it stated, like say with Ananias, the man that came and got Paul when he was blind. They said this was a man of good report. So he spoke well of all the Yahudim in the area. So you have to ask yourself, does my wife, does she admire and respect me? Am I a man worthy of being admired and respected? Do I have respectable traits? Do I have a respectable character? Do I carry myself in a respectable fashion? Before you even go to thinking about if she do or she don't, you should be analyzing and looking at yourself first. Because if once we do that, if we assess, you know what, I could do this, that, and the third, because I told y'all this before, man, she has to admire and respect you. If she doesn't admire and respect you, she's not going to love you. Because they don't love you like that. Of course, they can love you how you make them feel, but she needs to admire and respect you. Let's look at admire. I don't know if it's in the Hebrew, but let me see. But if it's not, we'll look at it in English. Y'all know what respect is. That's your right. That's to have reverence, to honor. Look at somebody and have reverence for them, respect for them. Well, it's a Greek one. It's a Greek word for it. So we'll look at the Greek word. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. I'm like, dang. Oh, chapter 1, I'm sorry. I want you to look at verse 8. Because I'm really trying to project that point of when we look at Yahushua, he has traits that are admirable. He's a merciful man. He's a just man. He's a wise man. He's a patient man. He's a faithful man. These are things to be admired and to be respected. He's a man of understanding. He's a man of compassion. He's a loyal man. You understand? Because you can look at that like he interceded on Lazarus' behalf by interceding to the Father to resurrect him from the dead. All of these things that we look at, because we sit back and look at it, this was a selfless man. This was a loving man. All of these things are things to be admired. He was an austere man, which means he was uncompromising and disciplined. I'm not compromising my standard. That's to be admired and to be respected. He's a fair man. These are admirable things. Second Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 8, excuse me. And flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not Elohim and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the esteem of his power, when he shall come to be esteemed in his saints and be admired in all them that believe, because our testimony among you was believed in that day. Let's look at this Greek word for admired. This Greek word for admired, a word that we're all familiar with, and we'll get the Hebrew word, y'all remember it. Thamazo, to wonder at, to marvel, or to be had in admiration. Now, y'all know the word marvel, because remember, he does marvels and wonders. Well, really, it's wonder. Let's get wonder. Let's see what we can go with that. Let's look at Exodus 3:20 real quick, just for the word itself. It's been a long time. We talked about that with the wonders, and that's Pala. Y'all remember that? That is to be marvelous, to be wonderful, to be extraordinary. Most importantly, in this instance, to be separate by distinguishing action. There's a particular action that you do. Show yourself wonderful and marvelous. This is why he's coming up to be admired in those who believe. Because, of course, his return is going to be very wonderful and very marvelous, a thing to behold, to say the least. That separates him by this distinguishing action. So that's why I mentioned that. Once you ask that question, does my wife admire me and respect me? Then you begin to look at your traits, your character, your actions. Is there a separate distinguishing action this person would look at and say, I admire this. This is wonderful. This is marvelous to me. I have not witnessed this in this capacity. See, most men in this society, you've been taught to do wonders by increasing income. Increasing income does not make you a man by any stretch of the imagination. It allows you to be able to dominate your domain to a certain extent, but you can be a square with some money. You can be a sucker buster in a lane with some money. That doesn't make you a man make a woman going to admire you and respect you because you have money. A woman's not going to admire and respect you because you take her places, or you buy her things, or you do little stuff like they do in the movies, and you know what I'm saying, all a little nice, romantic and freaky, all that type of stuff. That doesn't last. She'll use your resources the same way that Yasharal used Yahuah's resources, but he got her out of there and left those who did admire and respect him to remain. Remember what happened in the wilderness. Only Caleb and Yahushua son of Nun admired and respected this man. They're the only ones who did. We talked about this before, man. It's nighttime right now. Maybe it's clear in your skies, maybe it's not. But you can look up in them skies and you can see the stars, and you know those stars are wonders. They're representative of the sons of Elohim. Every one of them is representative, prayerfully, of one of you. Representative of one of them, that's a wonder. Every time that sun comes up at the time that it's supposed to come up and goes down at the time it's supposed to go down, that is a separate distinguishing action, and that is a wonder. Every time a man's seed enters into a woman's womb and fertilizes that egg, And according to the time of life, the fruit of the womb proceeds forth, and he give forth that breath. That's a distinguishing action, and that is a wonder. A wonder that is taken for granted because it happens so frequently. Some people appreciate that miracle, that wonder. Most people don't because it happens so regularly. You take it for granted. You know what I'm saying? When I say take it for granted, because you've removed him from the equation. So you don't see, we say it, but we don't mean it. You understand what I'm saying? We say things, but we don't mean it. I'm trying to think of many, many other things. The fact of the literal dropping of seed into fertile soil and seeing the fruit come up is a separate and distinguishing action. There are many, many things, from the largest to the smallest, where you see a separate distinguishing action that you could look out and just admire Yahuah. Every time you step out his door, you should be in admiration and awe of his mighty works that come forth before you. That alone in and of itself is an opportunity to admire and respect this man for what he has the ability to pull off that no one else can thoroughly explain. These people spend years and millions of dollars trying to disprove this man's work. Think about that for a second. They spend all that money to disprove this man and have failed to do it. Every time they spent money on it, their works end up proving that Yahuah is the living Elohim and the creators of heavens and earth every single solitary time. But let's come back to this Psalms 93 because I need to touch on that before we get out of here for the evening. Because all this still is going back to how Kadash is becoming of his house. So, become. Of course, remember, it's beautiful, it's befitting, it's pleasant, it's suitable. Noon, Aleph, and Hay. I'll let y'all do that because we ain't did that in a while. Noon, Aleph, and Hay. Give me what you got for Noon, Aleph, and Hay. You all right, baby? You got enough to eat? How you don't know if you got enough to eat? Noon, Aleph, and Hay. Noon, Aleph, and Hay. Y'all let me know if you don't want to. I'll move on and keep it rolling now. You ain't got to do it if you don't want to do it, baby. Yes, ma'am. I like regular fries if possible. I said if possible. Na'ah, becometh, means beautiful, pleasant, befitting.
You said it possible.
Clearly ain't nothing in the freezer. Girl, you can put them in the pan, put the junk in the stove. You know I don't like all them fancy fries. They're just curly fries. I like steak fries. Steak fries. Steak fries are the greatest fries on earth, in my humble opinion. Behold the strength of everlasting life. Behold the strength of the sun. Would any of you other brothers and sisters like to join in before we move on? I definitely say that beholding the strength of everlasting life is very befitting, very comely. Now, this is what he said is comely for his house. That kadoshness becomes his house forever. So, what is befitting? What is being set apart? What does that mean? Let's look at some of those things of what that means. First and foremost, Hebrews chapter 12. And remember, we were talking about that crown, right? Does the crown endure for generations? Or does the crown go to generations? And it was dealing with consecration. So we see that the crown is consecrated, is separated, and it is befitting and pleasant for his house to be separated. So Hebrews chapter 12. Hebrews 12 and 14 specifically. And it says, follow shalom with all men and kadosh, without which no man shall see the Lord. Now, got to follow that. Y'all know what's in John 2, right? Let's look at John 2. I know y'all know what it says. But we need to pull this one off the page just for this moment. John 2 and about 43. Is that what I want? No, ain't no 43. I'm bugging. 17. John 2 and 17. And his disciples, remember, it was written, the zeal of your house have eaten me up. The Yahudim said unto him, what sign show unto us, seeing that you do these things? Yahushua answered and said unto them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. Now, of course, you know he's speaking of the temple of his body. Now, let's go to Matthew chapter 1. Now, I think we talked about this already, right? The scepter shall not depart from Yahudah. That it was supposed to go to Joseph, but it ended up going to Judah because Judah prevailed above his brethren. But I want you to come over here to Matthew 1 and 21. Make sure I'm in the spot that I desire. I don't think I'm in the spot that I desire. That is not a spot that I desire. It's escaping my mind. Do y'all remember when we were talking about being that Nazarite? Who knows what a Nazarite is? Let me not say that. Who does not know what a Nazarite is? Matthew 2 is what I desire. 2 and 19. Who does not know what a Nazarite is? Let me ask that instead. So with that being said, I'll take that everybody on here right now is clear and knows what a Nazarite is. Therefore, there's no reason. Okay, so Sade does not. A Nazarite vow, Sade, can be found in Numbers chapter 6. A Nazarite is a person who has decided to sanctify and consecrate themselves to Yahuah for a period of time. They do not cut their hair. They let the locks of their hair grow, and they don't eat anything that comes of the vine. Meaning no grape, no wine, no corn husks, no anything that grows of the vine. There's a time of consecration or separation that is put upon their head. So we're here. So when we're looking at that, of course, with that Proverbs 27:24, the crown endures to each period of time. Yahushua's crown endures forever, because remember, his throne is set up from everlasting. Remember, he was slain from the foundation of the world. So he was a Nazarite, consecrated and sanctified for this purpose, for his crown or his rulership or his consecration or sanctification to endure. Let's continue. Matthew 2:19. But when Herod was dead, he beheld the Malachim of Yahuah appear in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Yasharal, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. He arose and took the young child and his mother, and came unto the land of Yasharal. But when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Yehudah in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go hither. Notwithstanding, being warned of Elohim in a dream, he turned aside into the parts of Galilee. And he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, he shall be called a Nazarene. Do any of you brothers or sisters recall what that word Nazarene translates to? Do any of you recall? We ain't talked about that in a long time. Yeah, that's about right there, Kira. That's about right. That's about right. I'll get it for those who don't know. The vine's right, sir. The vine or the branch. Nazarene, for those of you who don't know, it translates in Greek right here to Nazarois, which is one who is separated. So when it's telling you this, it's telling you that he was a Nazarite. You know what I'm saying? So now, him being said that it be spoken by the prophets that he shall be called a Nazarite. What prophet told you he would be called a Nazarite? Do y'all know where it was stated where he would be called a Nazarite? One who has been consecrated and separated. I'm going to be honest with you. There's not a one that says that specifically. But there's many instances that show you this. Now, I'll put it to you this way. Old Testament only. Who are the men in the Old Testament that are specifically declared to be Nazarites? You don't have many to choose from, I can tell you that. Who are the men in the Old Testament that are specifically declared to be Nazarites? Samuel, are you telling me or are you asking me? Samuel. So you're telling me. How do you know that?
Because his mom prayed for him, and when she was pregnant, she requested and said she would give him.
Oh, look at you. Samson? Mama done failed. Yes, Samson is a Nazarite from birth. Deidre mentioned Samuel. Do y'all know of the places where it talks about Nazarites in the text outside of that? Let's talk about that. That's right. Consecrated male children from birth. You know what I'm saying? That's why you can see the parallel. Samuel was consecrated from birth. Samson, let me even say birth, from conception. Let me rephrase that. From conception. You understand? Now, of course, y'all know John the Baptist was a Nazarite. Y'all already know that. But we needed to just be in the old, because those are the only two men that you read of said thing being stated. Now, I want you to come over here to the three places that Nazarites is mentioned directly by word. Lamentations chapter 4. We've already talked about this one here. And then we'll go to Amos chapter 2. I want you to come to Lamentations of Jeremiah chapter 4. I want you to pick it up at verse 6. We finna get up off of here in a second, y'all. For the punishment of the iniquity of the daughter of my people is greater than the punishment of the sin of Sodom. that was overthrown as in a moment, and no hand stayed on her. That man just compared what he did to Yasharal to be worse than what he did to Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm going to just let that resonate in your brain. He said, her Nazarites were purer than snow, and they were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was of a sapphire. Now, just pause and think on that. Of course, now, what they mentioned with vine and branches because of the word netzer, which is the vine or the branch, but it's also a Nazarite. This is someone who has been consecrated. This is someone who has been separated for a specific task. That's why he was put in a separated womb. A womb had never been defiled with man. You understand? See, it's different. Say you look at I'm gonna make sure I use my words correctly. When you look at Samuel and Samson, now we can't speak for Samson because it doesn't say it directly. Hannah had not had any children. So the first child that she pushed out of her womb, clearly he's been consecrated and sanctified for a specific purpose, and he ended up being a prophet and a priest because Samuel was a Levite. You turn around and you look at Samson, for just sake of speculation and inference, we'll say that his parents didn't have any children, because usually the text lets you know if a man had children. Samson is from the tribe of Dan. Samson was a judge. The two men who you see are Nazarites and who were consecrated from conception from the womb were judges, priests, and prophets. Now let that resonate in your brain of what type of thing that this is pointing to and dealing with Yahushua. Yahushua had to come out of the womb and be a Nazarite because he had been consecrated and separated to Elohim. That's why he said it. Remember, right? Because it follows the same pattern with the exception of Samuel. Her name escapes me right now. Samson's family were told what they were going to do and what his name was going to be and what he was going to execute. The same as with Mary. Now, I mentioned this. Now, some of us, of course, you're not born a Nazarite, clearly, but you know that from Jeremiah. Some of you have been sanctified for a specific purpose. And that purpose is known to Yahuah for his, what are we looking for? Esteem. When we look at pure, right, we have zakak. That is something that is clean, that is pure, that is cleansed, it's bright, it's pure. Zayin, kaf, and kaf, excuse me. So what you have on this one here is, you see that what? That palm has been cut, and therefore the Nazarite or Yahusha has been subdued. Let's continue. That's why he's pure. You are clean from the word that I have spoken unto you. Through his blood, your sins are washed away. Now it says he's whiter than milk. Now, of course, they tell you it's purer than snow. Snow is literal snow. For those who want to know, it is shaleg, that is literal snow, Shan, Lamad, and Gamal. And you know that the shepherd was consumed, and the shepherd, we can look at the messenger, was disciplined and consumed. That is what allowed him to be whiter than snow. It says they're more ruddy in body. For those who want to know what ruddy is, it's Adam, ruddy of Nazarites, to be reddened, to show red, to look red. Basically, you know what I'm saying? Ruddy skin, brown skin. And he said they're more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was a sapphire. When you look at polishing, Gezerah. And this is a cutting, a polishing, but more important, a separation or a separate place. So they're more ruddy in body than rubies, and their separation was as a sapphire. Nazarites are separated. Why are they separated? Because they are clean. He said their visage is blacker than coal. They're not known in the streets. The skin cleaved to the bones. It withered. It becomes like a stick. And guess what? They did not know Yahusha in their streets. They rejected him. They rejected him. Indeed, sir. Indeed. Indeed. Now let's come over here to Amos. Remember, we said this talking about that Kadoshness becoming house. It is pleasant that his house is separated. Remember, he told them, right, I won't drink this fruit of the vine with you till I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. Because remember what it tells you in Hebrews 7, he must be separate from sinners, harmless, because he's in his time of consecration as a Nazarite. While he is in that inner sanctum, he is as Samuel, a Nazarite, separated to Elohim to do the ministering and to the work of Elohim to Yahuah's people. Simple as that. Amos 2. Now see, he finna go off on y'all. 2 and 4. He finna go off on Yasharal, and he finna tell you what Yasharal did to his Nazarites. Most of y'all are familiar with this. Thus saith Yahuah, for 3 transgressions of Yehudah, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they have despised the law of Yahuah. They have not kept his commandments, and their lies caused them to err, after the which their fathers have walked. I will send a fire upon Yehudah, it shall devour the places of Jerusalem. Thus saith Yahuah, for 3 transgressions of Yasharal, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they sold the righteous for silver and the poor for a pair of shoes. Now, y'all already know the first part talking about him putting the fire to Yahushua, and you know they sold the righteous for silver, because they sold him for silver. Y'all already know that. They pant after the dust of the earth on the head of the to profane my Kadesh name. The same is not there. It just say they go into the maid. They sharing booty. Maid is a girl, a damsel, a female servant, also a concubine or a prostitute. Say, boy, a man and his son around here tricking on the same hoe. Let me tell you something about what I remember the first time I read this one here, man. I'm like, yeah, I can feel him on that, because that train stuff ain't never do nothing for me. Bunch of niggas in the room, meat swinging, all in the dark. That junk ain't never sit right with me. I'm like, I'm good, man. That junk ain't never appealed to me. 3, 4 men be in a womb. Let me be the 5th.
You pervert.
You pervert! Talk to me. Boy, that's stupid. Hey, that boy Jap stupid. You pervert. You know what I'm saying? I remember home was like, man, ain't nobody looking at me. I say, I'm like, man, that junk ain't even about nobody looking at nobody penis. It's just the fact I'm in a room and it's 3, 4 dudes standing around waiting on their turn, either in their drawers or butt naked. Nigga, this is weird. Like, this ain't weird to you niggas, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never been on that one up, man. And then just the fact of, yeah, boy, we finna knock that hold on. Why would I want that? You know what I'm saying? Like, 5 niggas done hit him. I want to be number 6. Let me put my penis in there. I'm like this here, nigga. I'm appalled if you done had 6 niggas in a short period of time just in regular life, much less 6 niggas at one time. Nah, man. I'm good on. Nah, shoot, just like what BOA said, that nigga say, he say it's not the aspect that if a woman can have sex with 50 men, that nigga say, why would you want to? And that's what you'd have to ask these women. Why would you want that many different men in your body? How does that benefit you? What does that do for you? Like, what did that do for me to say, yeah, boy, we ran a dime on this whole boy, it was about 15. That ain't do nothing for me. That woman is savage and ravaged. That's a womb I don't want. If 10 men can go in your womb at one time, I guarantee you that is a womb I do not want. You know what I'm saying? And you got to have enough love and self-respect for yourself to say, you know what? I don't want no woman like, because that's what, well, y'all have sex with. Nobody want to hear all that. Don't try to put that shame and put that stuff back on me, man. You know what I'm talking about? Because number one, I ain't did nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell y'all this, I told you before. When you hear women say, oh, y'all men be sleeping with a whole bunch of women, do this here. No, you thinking about that 10 to 15% of dudes that can do that. Because this 80, 85% of dudes over here, boy, the boys ain't knocking no women down like that unless they paying a prostitute. You know what I'm saying? I told a girl I know that she was talking about who, my homeboy or my brother, he always hit. I'm like, yeah, if this nigga bring a different woman home every night, I guarantee there ain't nothing to know. Ain't nothing to know. What is this? The reason why, and y'all told it before, we not recommending nobody be no whoremonger. Let that be known. We already read that at Deuteronomy. Nobody need to be no whore. Nobody need to be no sodomite. You don't need to be no whoremonger, no fornicator, no junk like that. You want to let your penis swing, go get you a wife. You understand what I'm telling you? But I tell you this here though, man. It is very, very difficult for a man to have sex with a lot of women. That's why men celebrate men who are able to do so. Now, one thing I keep hearing, though, that dude on Fresh and Fit, that nigga be grinding my gear because you telling niggas to demean themselves. You know what I'm saying? By trying to have sex with as many women as possible. I told you before, I literally heard this man say, men want quantity and women want quality. Nigga, you got to be a fool. Nigga, I don't want all them women, boy. Because I guarantee you, if any of your you young men been around here hoeing in your life, like genuinely hoeing, and I'm talking about, and not just hitting scallywags, because boy, nigga don't get no credit for hitting no scallywags. You know what I'm saying? You hitting bust down baddies, you don't get no credit for no bust down baddies. You know what I'm talking about? I know boys who numbers up because they used to trick with bases, man. You know what I'm saying? That junk don't count. Nigga, you got coochie for crack. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? But it's easy for a woman to have sex. You can have sex whenever you want. That man got to do something. That man just can't. I told you, this man just can't walk out the door and say, let me have sex with you. You know what I'm saying? Oh, absolutely. That nigga, that'll be wilding, man. You know what I'm saying? Nah, man, you got to have respect for yourself, man. I want no woman, no whole bunch of dudes been in. Not for your wife. That's not to say that dudes don't do it. But that ain't nobody's first choice. And I done told y'all this before, man. Unless you got with your peoples, man, at a young age, boy, ain't nobody first choice. And if you didn't lose your virginity to a male or female, more specifically to the woman, you weren't her first choice. And you got to suck that pill up and deal with it. You know what I'm talking about? If you weren't the first person to enter into her womb, you were not her first choice. Whether she liked the nigga, enjoyed the experience, it do not matter. You were not her first choice. But you can always remember this here. Oh, House of Yasharal, you was Yahuah's first choice. So let that resonate in your spirit. That's why he says, I spread forth my hands to gainsaying people. I don't even know these people. They come looking for me. See, I mention that because most of us don't know what it feels like to be somebody's first choice. That's why I heard people feeling they get pricked in their heart. I did choose him first. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. That's not the first person. That's not the man who took your virginity. That wasn't it. Because the person who took your virginity in another time, you'd have been married to this man. And most of y'all, if certain things would have went the way you wanted it to, you would have married him. You wouldn't have waited until you got to a certain age and had a couple more sexual partners before you decided, I'm gonna roll with you. That's not how life's supposed to work. We around here sampling genitals. See what genitals work for me. And children be the byproduct of that. But even if the children ain't the byproduct of that, the mental and emotional fracturing of the male and female gender because of it is devastating to all mankind. Because just how you say you could tell he been played before, that's why these dudes around here out here, boy, these dudes don't know how to talk to women, deal with women. They drive a cement truck, they ain't got no brain. And women feel like I can do whatever I want to do with my vagina. And the whole earth is defiled under that word. You know what I'm saying? And we don't see it that way. You're breaking the covenant, you're defiling the earth, you're disgusting and you're vile in this man's eyesight. And niggas around here hitting two chicks at one time, and Yahuah say, I found that to be disgusting and vile. Y'all know our laws tell you ain't supposed to hit two sisters. I remember I was sitting at my homeboy house with that nigga like, what? I'm like, yeah, well, you ain't supposed to have sex with two sisters. Boy, you got to pick one. You know what I'm saying? Most of y'all, some of y'all might have did it. Boy, I hit both of them. I hit both of them sisters. Boy, Yahuah looking at you, you's a nasty nigga. That's when people put, what about Jacob? Don't try to throw that man in that. That's not what he tried. That's not what he signed up for. That was 7 years apart. He ain't signed up for that. You ain't supposed to do that. That's in the law. You can't knock down no sister, boy. Hold on, for y'all that don't know what I'm talking about. He married him. These boys around here, you like this here. These boys be sliding sisters and all around here think that junk cool. We be bragging about stuff that this man deemed as being wicked. Leviticus 18:18. He said, neither shall you take a wife to her sister to vex her, to uncover her nakedness besides the other in her lifetime. What that boy seen that there, he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, bro, you can't do that, man. Whoa, What that boy Tavon say, he seen a video, white woman saying, this is how I keep my husband happy. Then show the husband and her mama an abomination before God. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm going to be honest with y'all. With the advent of the internet and social media, the level of sexual degeneracy that people share is amazing. You know what I'm saying? And then you begin to realize that people have been sexual degenerates on this earth for a long time. And that social media is the only reason why you know. That's the only reason why you know. You have to sit back and look at it, right? Because men don't have too many challenges that they can do that embarrass them as men. But you got busted challenges. You got whatever that red light challenge was. You got the big bank, all this stuff that they people got going on. And then you got a man, if you a man of respect, see, this is what the problem is. That's what the video I put in the chat with BOA was talking about. If you're going to find a wife, you ain't going to find a wife where these whole niggas be going to look for no woman at. You ain't finding no wife at no club. You ain't finding no wife at no bar. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem with most of these dudes that you see crying about women. You want a woman. Now, I seen a chick say this the other day, talking about why nice guys always get done wrong. And she tried to cap it up a little bit, but she was accurate. Most dudes who say they nice guys that get done wrong, they try to get the most beautiful women who don't like them. And that average woman who will actually admire and respect him, he don't want to fool with her. Because he want this bad hoe. But see, he ain't realize everything that come with this bad hoe. And this hoe don't fool with you. She just wants you for what you can get. And it's better for you to come over here with that 6 or that 7 who gonna ride with you than get the dime who gonna have you around here crying. You know what I'm talking about? Talking about women ain't this. I ain't talking about the literal tear, but crying about women ain't this and women ain't that and women ain't this and women ain't that, because that whole 10. And guess what? She wants certain stuff. And you's a square. She don't like you. You know what I'm saying? See, Jenny was considered to be a dime to Forrest. But Forrest ain't had no brain. That's a whore. That's not, it's her fault, but it's not her fault she was a whore because she was molested. But she's a whore. And he tried to love a whore. And she knew, she said, I know he's stupid. I'm going to give him a little booty. I ain't nobody else ain't going to give him a booty. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no shoot. Ain't nobody else going to get it. He ain't going to get no child no other way. I don't give him no booty. He ain't going to get no booty. He ain't going to have it. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, in all seriousness, though, like, you have to look at that. Because that's accurate. Because dudes like attractive women. That's why dudes want money. Because they know they get money, they get attractive women. Then you get attractive women, these women don't like you. Then you upset because the women don't like you. That's why I keep telling you, I felt like this my entire life. I felt like I've known this my entire life. It is better to be with a woman who likes you. If she's beautiful and she got a nice body, that's a bonus. But get a woman who likes you. That's way more important. Because if she likes you, she going to roll with you. You ain't going to have no problems in life. I'm talking about, but she got to like it, man. Don't deal with women who don't like you. Don't chase after women who don't like you. Don't beg women who don't. And if she tell you to your face you don't respect your whole nigga, respect yourself. Leave. You know what I'm talking about? Don't deal with that, man. It's bad for your mental health. That's what Osaka said, right? It's bad for our mental health. It's bad for our mental health. Let me get off of here, man. Because we ran, and I don't want to do that. Verse 8, right? He said they lay themselves down upon clothes to lay a pledge by every altar and drink the wine of the condemned in the house of their God. Uh-oh. They bringing the price of a whore in there. They laying down. They drinking wine of those who damned in the house of their God. You nasty niggas. Yet I destroyed the Amorite before them, whose height was like the height of cedars. Go see the book of Exodus. He was strong as the oaks, yet I destroyed his fruit from above and his roots from beneath. I brought you up out of the land of Mizraim and led you 40 years through the wilderness to possess the land of the Amorite. And I raised up of your sons for prophets and of young men Nazarites. Is it not even thus, O you sons of Yasharal, saith Yahuah? But you gave Nazarites wine to drink and commanded the prophets, saying, prophesy not. That's when they gave the man the vinegar. Now you want to remember, right? Because he told them, I'm not drinking the fruit of the vine till it knew with you in my fire. And you wonder why he turned it down. This man, the Nazarite, you trying to get a Nazarite wine. This man got the crown of his consecration upon his head. The minute he drank that wine and ate that bread, the crown of his consecration was on his head. He had to begin to sanctify himself, which allows the crown to endure from every generation, or the consecration to endure to every generation. Because now, Romans 1, I'm sorry. Which is why Kadoshness becomes his house. That's why it's pleasant and beautiful that his house is separated. You understand what I'm saying? Do you follow what I'm talking about? Let me know if you don't, because I can make it clear for you, if you will. Romans 1:1. Paul, a servant of Yahushua HaMashiach, called to be an apostle, separated unto the Basar of Elohim, which he had promised afore by his prophets in the Kadash scriptures concerning his son Yahushua HaMashiach our Lord, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh, and declared to be the son of Elohim with power according to the Ruach HaKadash, and by the resurrection of the dead, by whom we have received mercy and apostleship for obedience to the faith among all nations for his name, among whom you are also the called of Yahushua HaMashiach. Now we came here for this. He was declared to be the son of Elohim by the breath of separation. That's why it's pleasant or becoming that the house be separated. And it's separated because the crown endures from generation. It put it to this way. How many years has it been since this man resurrected from the dead? 2,000 plus. And that crown or that separation has endured from generation. Matter of fact, we just keep it clean. That crown has been enduring from Adam. Because Adam was separated to do the work of Elohim. After that, he had them sons, canceled one, and Abel was sanctified to do the work of Elohim. And it goes down from generation to generation because there has been a righteous segment in every single solitary generation because he has separated those for such. And that endures. That's why it's becoming of his house to be set apart. It is becoming to consecrate yourself. It is a pleasant and acceptable thing of Elohim to be separated. Being separated is more than saying, I keep the Sabbath, you go to church on Sunday. See, I'm sanctified. No, it's more than that. It's more than the stuff that I'm sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost. See, it's more than that. It's having the mind of Elohim because Yahuah said, be ye therefore separate because I am separate. Leviticus 18 for those who don't know. They'll see it, absolutely. Leviticus 18. I feel like I'm in the wrong place. I think it's 19 that I desire. It is 19:1. That's what I desire. It's not 18, 19:1. And Yahuah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto all the congregation of the sons of Yasharal, and say unto them, you shall be Kadash, for I, Yahuah, your Elohim, am Kadash. He set apart. So that means there's a difference. Remember what we talked about, what made them be admirable was separate by distinguishing action. Which goes back to what we were talking about a week or so ago in Deuteronomy, when it said, when you keep this law, the nations will look at you and say, oh, surely this is an understanding people, because you're separate by distinguishing action. See, if you want to be admirable, you have to do something that separates you from others. And what more can separate you? What did he tell you? Sanctify them with your truth. Your word is truth, and I've sanctified myself by the truth, that they might be sanctified by the truth. I've set myself apart by the faithfulness of Elohim, that they might do the same. But hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I appreciate y'all time this evening. I bless y'all out the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Yahuah willing, we'll pick it up on tomorrow. Still got some more things to talk about when it comes to that. We probably shift to another psalm. I got about 2, 3 in my brain. But we still want to talk about what we're talking about with David and Saul. But you definitely see how David is filled with majesty and clothed with strength, and how he reigns or became king. But also, I still want to continue the aspect of discussing how it becomes his house to be holy, if you would, and how that crown endures to generations, or the consecration, because the consecration is important. That's what allowed David to be able to do what he was doing, because he was consecrated for the task. He was already set apart for the task. Always maintain being set apart. Again, blessings out the house of Elohim in the name of Yahweh. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Yahuah willing, we'll pick it up on tomorrow. Until that time,